Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 Challenge here at beautiful Watkins, Glen, New York, USA. I'm Austin Knight. I'm joined by Alessandro Dalladoni and Marco Barbonera as we are here live at the classic boot layout of Watkins, Glen, and you're going to see some amazing Formula 3.5 action here today.
Hello Austin, hello everybody. Are you ready for some mad racing here? I expect a draft fest without the famous bus stop.
It is going to be a draft fest. We had this layout a few times already before in previous seasons, and they've always proven amazing. But this is the first time that we had it on the new... No, I feel like it's going to be the second time on the new layout, but everybody in this car, they have started experimenting with medium downforce, as we saw last week in Bathurst. I feel like we're going to see some people try medium downforce here again, and on this track with that downforce layout, it's going to just absolutely throw this race up into smoke. But the high downforce is still favored by a lot of the drivers because the back end is just so planted.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree. I'm not a Formula 3.5 guy, but I usually do some races during the season and definitely feel the difference from one type of setup to the other. And it's gonna be interesting to see if any driver tries to go for a different option. This is definitely one of the key for the race. In qualifying, maybe it's gonna pay less dividends as we see Polybrin cross the line, but it just improves slightly to finish 5th.
Yeah, last week it was at Mount Panorama Bathurst, which well, turned into a crash fest. But as qualifying is slowly coming down, this race is going to be an absolute banger of a race. And as we wait for qualifying to get rained down. I gotta say, this iRacing Formula 3.5 Challenge is brought to you by Virtual Racing School to improve your own track performance with 50+ data packs, road and oval racing setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. And VRS Racing School has a great Formula 3.5 section.
We are waiting for the end of qualifying, just 20 seconds left. But apparently everybody has set their time, apart from Adam Blocker, who hasn't got a time.
Yeah, Adam Blocker, mostly an IndyCar driver, decided to hop over here. One of the higher I ratings in this massive grid, but it's Tim DeLisle starting up on pole with Robert Tarleton starting right beside him. We've seen that front row so many times, but they've had very different starts. They're followed by Greg Olson, Christopher Herberno, Paul Ilbrick, Edward Samborski, Fabio DeCarmo, Rob Crouch, Steve Honan, Theodore Burns, Jamie Byrne, Jason Henrique, Joshua Stewart, Omar Baja, I M Keyman, Luke Groom, Sean Mallory Esquire, Kenneth Storm, Weimar Ludovic, Christopher Wright, James Byrne, Fabio Berktold, and Adam Blocker at the end of this 23-car grid with a strength of field that is just through the roof. 4.4K.
Yeah, definitely a very high strength of field as we see people gridding. Slowly, we will see the grid populating. Obviously, I think drivers tend to grid right at the end of the 2 minutes gridding procedure to have warmer tires at the start, as it is very important to have a lot of grip. Even though we have a traction control, launch control at the start, I can vouch that starting is not easy.
Yeah, the launch control saves you a lot. I've actually, whenever I race here, I get into incidents where I just run straight to the back of somebody not using launch control and so it helps you a lot. It's just other people need to use it as well. But these guys up here, they don't use it. There are 3 different ways starting, and we're going to see if they use all 3 of them. The lights are coming on, and we are green here at Watkins Glen. It's a very slow start at the back of the pack. But up front, Robert Tarleton jumps ahead of Tim DeLisle heading into turn 1. Tim DeLisle on the inside line. Tarleton goes way off wide. They're going to go side by side heading into the S's.
Yeah, great start. DeLisle now leading, but he has a long straight ahead. And Robert Tarleton in the 8 might have a chance to go through. But watch out for the big slipstream effect for the guys also behind.
See, Tim DeLisle had his DRS on right there. Tarleton is following close behind. DeLisle using it early. It's a giant line of cars as we head through the carousel. And into the famous boot. DeLisle got a great run through there.
Yeah, definitely. You can clearly see how these drivers know their stuff and kept it clean at the start as we have Groom spinning little incidents in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Christopher Herbert diving down on Greg Olson right there. They're going to go side by side as they enter the keel and exit the boot. And here comes Paul Ilbrink on Herberto. But Herberto cuts him off right there off the exit. Great defensive move and great racing. They all might be in a single line right now, but they're all jostling for positions. And the draft in this Formula 3.5 car is just keeping these cars planted with one another. You can see Paul Ilbrink kind of in a sandwich right now as they head into turn 1. Herberto looks down low, forcing Olsen to go wide. He can go wide off that track as long as you come back on before the grass is not an on-track or a cut track penalty. And it looks like Greg Olsen had to get onto the brakes. He drops all the way down to 7. Very risky rejoin.
Yeah, very complicated. You need a bit of compliance also from the guy on your right side. He has to let you in, otherwise it's not ending very good for both of them. As we see all the drivers still single file, the DRS having a lot of effect on this car, but obviously it's not that easy when everybody essentially has the draft over. people in front, as Team Delide is almost 1 second clear of Robert Arton, who is trying to keep up with the great pace of the host.
Well, Tim DeLaw, I think he was trying to use that DRS early to break free of the draft of Robert Tarleton. And if he can do that within 8 laps, he is golden. But if Tarleton can stay within that 1.4 second range of where that draft is takes absolutely massive effect, I feel like it's going to be a race for the start. As here is a replay of what happened to Luke Groom at the start of the race as they enter the boot and head into the toe. And oh, we just got a little bit of a shove from the Chrome and
yeah, a bit of
I think it was
network
Keenan.
maybe.
Oh, it was Kenneth Strom. That's what it was. I'm getting Keenan's and Strom's car absolutely confused.
Delile opening a gap of over 1 second as we go back to 14th place for the battle in the midfield, with the Keyman having to attack at the same time defend, and here Strom 19th. Very tight field.
Yeah, very tight, and it's going to be for a very interesting race. 25 laps. 25 laps here today, and it's going to be an exciting race as we continue on. Jamie Burns in the big old fight, and this midfield is always on fire. Just look at these two. Adam Blocker around the outside as they enter the toe. Burn, though, on the inside, trying to stay ahead of the iRacing's probably most famous IndyCar racer. Adam Blocker dives down low into the hill. Adam Blocker up in a 16th.
Yeah, we will have to keep an eye on Adam Blocker all race long, because obviously starting that last in 23rd place, he already made up 7 positions in the opening 3 laps, and if he can get some clean air, as he will do right now, till he gets to Glen, he will definitely set some very good times.
Indeed, they are looking to set some great times. Cloudy day as Jamie Burns says ahead of Fabio Di Carmo, who is sporting a... Nope, that was Jason Enrique. Fabio's ahead of him.
Yeah, Fabio is in 8th position right now. He's 9/10 behind Olson. He will have to defend on the straight as we go with Sam Browski in 5th place.
It's a very low track temperature here today. It's probably assisted by the massive amount of clouds ahead.
Yeah, definitely this is going to affect the tire wear for the drivers. Temperature here low, overcast weather, they will be able to push even more. I wonder if this has also something to affect setups, because maybe drivers also have different setup for different conditions.
Yeah, I would expect some of these drivers to be experimenting with different setups, but from what I've been seeing, everyone is on the same aero package compared to what we were seeing at Bathurst, as Tim DeLau is 1.5 seconds free of Robert Tarleton now.
Yeah, he definitely broke almost the draft, or he already broke the draft. So that DRS he's been using in the first few laps paid evidence now, and he can now put some good laps to make sure Robert Tarleton behind won't be able to catch up, as Marco in the meantime shows us the biggest movers of today's race, with Adam Blocker in 16th place at last 7, and obviously Luke Groom in last position out of the race. -7 is the biggest loser after
that. Luke Groom, the only driver to actually have a incident, so very clean start. No giant incidents like what we had at Bathurst, and I think that we might have one here very soon, as Mallory was struggling a little bit, as well as Wright looking down low, sends a bomb into the toe, and he's got it.
Great pass by Wright. Definitely not easy to stick the car in that corner. It wants always to go wide. going side by side with whichever car you have to go there, it's always very tricky. But it's not over because Malloy is still right behind him, so in the next straight, if he gets a nice run and grabs the help of DRS, he might go through again.
Yeah, definitely can go through, giving us a side-by-side battle between Jason Enrique and Jamie Byrne. Enrique dives down the inside and just stays right there, holds off James Burns. But Burns looks down the inside of the S's. They're going to go side-by-side. It's going to be a drag race here at Watkins Glen. Side-by-side they go down this long back straight, and just up ahead, Herberto and Ilbrink going side-by-side through the carousel. Ilbrink on the outside. Herberto on the outside. Ilbrink on the inside.
Great battle, side-by-side racing, that's what we want to see, but probably something that drivers don't want to see, because obviously battling out this way means you're gonna lose eventually time from the guys in front. And up until you are in the draft, you are kind of okay, because obviously you're gonna stay behind them, but if you lose the draft, then it's a bit more complicated.
Definitely is going to be a bit more complicated if they continue to swap in and out. We ride on board with Omar Baja. And this is the first American-dominated grid. This is the most amount of American drivers I've seen on the Formula 3.5 grid right now. Everett Samborski looked down to the inside of Christopher Herberto. Herberto, though, held around the outside, used that runoff to his advantage, and Christopher Herberto says ahead of Samborski.
Yeah, great battle here. Plenty of people using the runoff area in turn 1. You have to be very, very careful, though. As we see here, Crouch now trying to attack Samborski. He was right on his back, but there's no way to go. They follow each other towards the middle section of the track. They are pretty calm so far. The racing has been very, very good, and as we were saying before, we've seen only one car out, so it's definitely a very much improvement to
Bathurst had that 11. Well, only had about 10 cars finishing the race, about 9 on the lead lap, and I would say about a 7-car pileup.
Oh yeah, don't tell me.
Oh yeah, you were in it.
Indeed, I was. Omar Bach in 13th place, still trying to find a way through Enrique. I think these guys are following each other since already for a few laps. Meantime,
they've been sticking in that draft, and so they're just keeping in that slipstream. Paul Ilbrink is not in the draft. He is clear of anything around him. He's actually in no man's land, but I think that's a very safe place to be. Robert Tarleton's up into 2nd place. He's, well, I would say in no man's land as well. Pulling away from Paul Ilbrink just slightly, as Herberto's got DRS on, trying to stay ahead of this pack that races down the grid and the back straight as they head into the carousel.
Yeah, Herberto doing double duty tonight. He just finished the Apex DRS Championship with the Formula 3, so big change in terms of power between the two cars, but he's doing absolutely great today.
Yeah, Christopher Herberto definitely been very busy today in the high competitive series, but I feel like transitioning from where was Formula 3, our Formula 3 today?
Interlagos, I think I caught a glimpse of the race. It was definitely very interesting.
Yeah, but it's a very big difference from Interlagos to Watkins Glen. Interlagos, very twisty corners, a lot of braking, a lot of trail braking, and more corners and more slower speeds. The Formula 3.5 at Watkins Glen, it is completely different track. A lot of straights, more drafting battles, and a lot of high to medium speed corners.
Indeed, as here Omar Ba now is having to defend. As we watch now, Team Delay, Robert Anton just got up massively.
Yeah, he's gained 3/10 last time by, and he's caught straight up to Tim Delisle. And now he's just half a second behind him. What has happened to Tim Delisle? Robert Tarleton's closing on him even more. He gained 4/10 through Sector 1, 2/10 through Sector 2. He's lost a little bit of time through Sector 3, probably no thanks to Dirty Air. I think Tim might have picked up a cut track.
Yeah, or just Tarleton used his DRS this time to get a bit closer. I don't know. The gap to Ilbrink really didn't drop that much, so we will have to see.
Delisle had a little bit of an incident that time by, because that last lap he's lost 428. He lost 4/10 of a second.
It's a trend in the last 2 laps, so it might be just a pace and slipstream related now that Tarleton is back into his draft. It's interesting to see though, also Paul Ilbrink, after getting rid of the people in front in the first few laps, if he can now slowly recover, especially if Tarleton manages to catch the line, as we have a change for position. In 4th place, Sambrowski is gone by Herbinho.
Yeah, Everett Samborski put it on a great performance. Jumps up into 4th at his home race.
And this pack is gonna fight probably for 4th position. Doubt that Ilbrink will be involved in this battle. As we go back to the front of the pack, with Tarleton getting even closer now, so we will see when they cross the line to end the 10th lap out of 25 today here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, Tarleton's going to be gaining 2/10 this time by, so he's going to be on the gearbox, and that back straight is really helping Robert Tarleton in that draft. And as a familiar face in the series, James A. Pinsker puts in the chat, and here comes Robert Tarleton! In all caps, it's spaced out here. But yeah, James not here this week because his wheel decided to not be in the land of living, and it's not with him this week. So hopefully we see James back here very soon.
Here we have in the meantime a big battle for 9th place with Burns, Stewart, Hunan, and Ba, Enrique trying all together to find something and get some positions, some track position before maybe tires start to be a little bit of a concern towards the end of this race.
I don't feel like tires going to be the biggest concern because Watkins Glen is not that tough on tires, especially without the bus stop. And I can tell you, when these cars visited this race with the bus stop last time by, they were taking it just flat out like it wasn't in the bus stop at all.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not gonna be much of an issue, but maybe from the tight and slow corners, there might be some slip for the rear tires. I do not really have a lot of experience as we see a faster.
Yeah, Omar Ba looked down to the inside right there. Steve Honan didn't get that move off, but they're going. Oh my goodness, it's crazy back behind him. Look at Keyman. Back up front, Tim Delisle and Robert Tarleton still nose tail with each other. Tim getting a faster lap that last time by just by 0.03 of a second. As oh no,
We caught it.
We got a car in the fence. We got a car stopped. That's Jason Henrique stuck on the guardrail.
Oh boy, let's get a glimpse of what happens here.
There's Steve Honan at the start of it. It just gets a little bit off, comes back onto track. That collects 4 cars right there. And that pretty much blocked the track for a little bit, which would be a instant safety car in some series. Wow.
Very unfortunate.
What we thought we were not going to see that see that type of pile up like we did at Bathurst. We were wrong.
Yeah, in the meantime, Sambrowski scores the fastest lap of the race in 4th place with a 1:28.7. So definitely showing some very good speed, but be careful because Tartan is coming for the line.
Dalton on the back of Delisle, and he's actually lifting off. He's staying behind Delisle on purpose.
Interesting strategy.
I feel like Delisle's just going to be saving up his DRSs until the end of this race and taking it to Tim Delisle, because every time that Robert Dalton has won the race, either something has happened to Tim Delisle or Tim Delisle never showed up. They've never actually raced door to, well, not door. No, Sam Portgate is in the wall coming out of the toe. And I feel like this is a case of a little bit too much mustard.
Indeed.
Yep. It was actually never actually hit the wall there.
No, he just casually parked a few inches away from the wall and I thought it was a perfect job, but obviously I would rather avoid to have that kind of issue during the race, but he's still running. Ooh, another issue here for Kima.
That's a contact with the wall though.
Yeah, definitely. There's no way you can avoid that, and indeed the Kima is out of this race.
We ride on board with Robert Dalton. Coming down the back straight as my voice just decides to hop out of the window.
Still not trying to go by. Bit of mind games, I guess, here for Tartan on the line. Something probably also he doesn't really want to see because he's the one who wants to get a bit more time as we are side-by-side racing between Sambrowski and Stewart.
Sambrowski making a great move on his teammate, and it's a DFR 8, 9, and 10th, and oh, nope, I've cursed it.
Oh boy. That was
Adam Blocker. Massive hit into the wall for Joshua Stewart. And Adam Blocker had to take a massive on track. Let's ride on board Joshua Stewart. Just got a little bit too much of the grass on his exit right here and just caught the outside. And oh, big hit into the wall. There goes Adam Blocker off into the grass. I saw him take a big wiggle right there. Let's ride on board with Adam Blocker and see he comes around this incident.
This is IndyCar practice. Wreck avoidance obviously is a big skill in IndyCar and definitely showed
IndyCar you get yellow flags.
Yeah, but yellow flags are overrated.
Sure they are. Sure they are, but I kind of that is more overrated in road course racing, and overrated are kind of needed. Have you ever seen a rookie oval race, or have you raced in the ARCA series lately?
Not really, but me and Marco spent plenty of time a few years ago watching bottom split during week 13, and we loved it. That was a pure race to the line.
Oh yeah, the week 13 stuff is absolutely crazy.
So issues again in the midfield, I guess. Someone lost a full position, I think it was Ludovic. Now in the battle with Wright and Malloy for 15.
Joshua Stewart coming out of the pits with his nose fixed up. Jason Henrique is out of this race. Now he's just sitting in the pits. So we ride on board Tim Delisle as we come to 10 to go here at Watkins Glen.
Oh yeah, the race is definitely not over. We have a duet here in the lead. Delilah Tarton still one following the other. Tarton hasn't yet put any single attempt to pass the leader. He's probably saving, as you were saying, VRS for the end, and probably just want to put some pressure on Delilah. But it's a very hard driver to crack.
Yeah, Tindalal is well, it's like he's basically an eggshell. You can't really squeeze an eggshell open, but he's definitely kept his spot up at front. And we're looking at Greg Olson and for Herberto right here.
Yeah, a great fight going on for a few laps. I think also just past Herbigno this lap on the main straight. This is a very interesting battle that I think will last till the end of the race, as we don't have anybody either in front or following, so they can have a nice old battle with the crouch at around 3 seconds behind them, so they can definitely go at it for the rest of the race. And their pace is definitely not bad, so if they keep it up, they will be for sure heading for a nice fight. As in the front of the pack, the pace is pretty much steady. Leaders running 129.2. Hildring losing 3/10 this time by, as also instead is the only driver into the 128 in lap 15, 16.
Yeah. These drivers going to max speed. Here comes Christopher Herberto on the back, Greg Olson. He's going to lift off and is just dance on that gearbox right here as they enter the carousel. Headed to the toe now. Herberto chasing down Olson. And if you want to be racing like these guys are right now, I would say, hey, let's go. I would suggest that you head over to Apex Racing Academy, which is a proud sponsor of the series. They have 29 data pads over there, setups, track guides, integrated with VRS, weekly group coaching sessions, plus more over at Apex Racing Academy. And, ooh, James Malloy is at an issue.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of time, maybe a little off, but close call here with the ball. It's very, very complicated to keep the car out of that wall or that patch of grass. It's always super tricky, as we are still on board with Herbigno, and we are now here with a replay.
Here's Joshua Stewart coming out of the pit lane. This is here's Sean Malloy, Esquire, with
Oh boy.
oh no.
Oh boy.
I wasn't laughing at the incident. Is that profile photo of his.
Come on, Austin, contain yourself.
I'm sorry. It's not fair. Oh, Herberto! What a
How did you
save!
save that?
I'm not sure. A little bit too much mustard right there, but he just scraped enough off of it to keep it going, pointed forward. But man, Christopher Herberto, he only lost that position to Greg Olson. But my goodness, and oh no, Sean Malloy is stopped at the front straight.
Oh yeah, definitely not the day to remember for him, as he was literally skating through the corners without even a rear wing and pirouetting in the middle of the track. He's definitely happy to call the day over.
Yeah, Sean not going to be happy about this race, and it's a, well, if it was Team America versus Team Australia, I think Team America would be winning it. Charlton looks down the outside. Getting out of the draft. I feel like Tarleton's finding his feet just a little bit more and experimenting with moves as Greg Olson and Christopher Herberto are racing still nose to tail through the carousel. Samborski leading out James Burns. Samborski, aka the crash test dummy, here racing out his home track.
Definitely, indeed. A very interesting helmet choice for Samborski that after a mistake is now trying to gain another position on the car, but he's almost 3 seconds ahead, so it's gonna be a tough job as Olson is still trying to defend from Herbigno. The two are swapping continuously positions as the Liar Tartan are back on the start-finish line, starting lap number 20, and we have also some lower traffic in front.
Yeah, we do have a slow car. It is Steve Honan ahead of Tim DeLisle, Robert Tarleton. I feel like this is going to give Tim a little bit of the advantage, but look at that. Robert Tarleton has engaged DRS. He's going to be making his move this time by. And he decides not to.
I think he lifted a little bit there. He was having a little bit of a run and the car literally stalled. As we are now back for 4th position, also defending for Herbigno, but Herbigno this time has the inside and goes through.
Yeah, Herberto gets back ahead of Greg Olson, but with those spins that he's had, spins, wiggles, snakes that he's had, I think Greg might just be staying behind Christopher and waiting for his tires to go out for another mistake.
Yeah, might be when you start sliding your tires is always a very tricky situation. It's hard to keep the temperature low once you start having wheel spin, especially out of slow corners. So that might be a strategy, but they are very good drivers, so I think they know how to manage their tire wear, especially in an overcast and not so sunny day. Shouldn't be much of an issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, but he doesn't know what Robert Tarleton is playing, because Tarleton's getting a great run. It's just him deciding on when he's going to go for that first spot is going to be the main challenge. As here goes Tarleton again on the gearbox. Tim DeLisle now getting in the draft of Steve Hone. Here they go. And I think Tarleton was just waiting for that lap car to get out of the way. And I feel like next lap is going to be the lap where Robert Tarleton makes his first look for the lead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because we are not having a lot of laps left. So if he wants to do his move, make his move, he's definitely have to do it very soon. As Ba is trying to go to the side of Burns, and they touch. Back is sideways. He keeps it out of the wall. Yes, indeed, he does. But this is a huge time loss, and also Burn, and also the 21 of James Burn might profit from this.
Yeah, James Byrne and Jamie Burns trying to stay well with each other right there, but Omar Baha after that big spin, he's going to have a little bit harder tires, a little bit harder time controlling them. And Adam Blocker is now in the top 10.
Yeah, I told you, Austin, he's not Formula F3.5 regular, let's say, like we have other guys in here, but he's faster from IndyCar. We know all how fast he is, and he's being consistent all race long.
He's one of the fastest drivers in all of iRacing, especially in the IndyCar scene, so he definitely has the speed with him.
Yeah, definitely, and these little hiccups for drivers in front of him definitely really had, but I bet he's not happy about qualifying.
Oh, well, he didn't even set a lap.
I don't know if it was intentional, it's, I don't know. We will have to ask him if you have a chance to.
Well, if you're in the top 3, you get an interview with us in the post-race, and I can certainly tell you those interviews get very fun sometimes, and sometimes contain some harsh words, especially there's an incident, which is something that we do not want to have at the front of this path.
We have almost 3 laps left, as we have this beautiful comparison graphic with the gap from lap 16 to 21 between the leader, Delay, and Robert Tarton. Very steady, not much to say. They always been with each other, studying each other, and having such a big gap to Brink in third place obviously is giving them the chance to not risk too much and play a bit of mind games. But I think now, with the 3 laps to go, it's time to go for it.
Yeah, it's go hard or go home time for Robert Tarleton. He's getting a good run right now. You can see that little battle box on the bottom right hand of your screen, brought to you by the SDK Gaming HUD. Here comes Tarleton, round the outside. Side by side they go, heading into the carousel. Tarleton is perfectly set up as they enter the boot. Ilbrink inside, Tarleton on the outside. Tarleton looking to send it into the boot, and he's going to jump it in there. Robert Tarleton takes the lead here at Watkins Glen.
That's good job by Tarleton there. Now it's gonna be a matter of, does he have the DRS to stay in front for the next 2 laps, and he will have to have a great run to defend from Team Delay. Definitely wouldn't be happy.
I feel like Tim doesn't want to give Robert another chance, so he's going to stay behind Robert this time by, then on the final lap, he's going to send it in for one last dive, because Tim DeLisle, I feel like right now he's just testing the waters on how close that he can get to Robert Tarleton, but it's not going to be close enough. 2 laps left. Tim DeLisle dives it down into turn 1, but I feel like that was just a dummy, but it sends Tarleton way wide. DeLisle and Tarleton side by side, they go through the S's.
Oh boy. 2 laps left. They are really going after each other now. I think that personally waited a little bit, but you never know.
It's a drag race here in Watkins Glen. Tarleton round the outside of the carousel stays ahead of Tim DeLisle. Tim trying to hold that round the outside, go for the switchback as they enter the boot. Robert Tarleton just has a few more quarters to go, but in those few more quarters, there are some massive straights. The white flag is being put in the hands of the flag marshal as we are approaching the one of the most electric finishes I will ever see. I'm not talking a massive game right now, but this is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Really looking forward to the next straight. Team that is definitely having to do something different. I thought it was too early to go side by side to the S's. You need a run and you need to get a little bit of a gap to get that slipstream effect toward the end and not go side by side. But in the meantime, we have Ervinho just made a pass last time by to Olsen, getting 4th place, but let's stay in front here because this is gonna get spicy.
Tim DeLisle stays behind Robert Tarleton right now. He's perfectly lined up to use DRS and go for that straight. Tarleton has activated DRS right there. DeLisle has DRS. It is going to be a race up to the line. Tarleton holding down that inside line. Here comes DeLisle looking on to the outside. They're going to go side by side down that back straight. Both of them have DRS open. Both of them putting the pedals to the metal as hard as they can as they race into the carousel. DeLisle around to the outside. Tarleton down to the inside of the carousel. Tarleton has a car length and a half in front of Tim DeLisle. He cuts in front of Tim DeLisle. Tim DeLisle looking down to the inside as they're going to go nose to tail through. It's a fix! Slide by DeLisle. DeLisle makes a mistake. Tarleton stays ahead. Wow.
I'm not a regular of Formula 3.5, but I feel like this is an historical moment.
Tim DeLisle rarely makes mistakes. And in that high-stakes race that we are seeing heading into the boot, Robert Tarleton did exactly what he needed to do to not only secure his position. Tarleton on the outside line. Tim had the inside line. Tim just made a small mistake, got onto the curb, and oh my goodness, what a race we witnessed here. Robert Tarleton wins here in New York.
Great.
Wow.
Very deserved. Zerbinho finished in 4th place after swapping position with Olsen all the race long. Kraut, Ducarno, Zambrowski, Burns, Blocker now finishing the race. What a race!
What a race! What a last lap! What a last few laps. Tim Delisle making a very rare mistake. I actually thought he was going to get that position back heading into the boot, but Tarleton got the elbows out just a little bit, and Tim just made a small mistake, got onto that curb, and, well, a very rare slide we saw by Tim Delisle. But that was probably his second mistake of the race, as remember early on the race, he wouldn't be in that position if he didn't have that earlier mistake that brought him back into the collection of Robert Tarleton. And Robert Tarleton, though, he was firing on all cylinders today. This is the race that he definitely wanted, and oh my goodness. If you did not have a smile on your face after that, I'm not sure what planet you're living on. That was amazing.
Indeed it was. Great racing.
And here are our race results. Robert Tarleton wins here at Watkins Glen ahead of Tim Delisle. Paul Ilbrick takes 3rd place ahead of Christopher Herberto. Greg Olsen, Rob Crouch, Fabio DiCarmo, Edward Samborski, Theodore Burns, Adam Blocker, Jamie Byrne, James Byrne, Omar Baja, Kenneth Strom, Christopher Wright, Fabio Berchtold, Steve Honan, Sean Malloy, Weimar Ludovic, and Josh Stewart in 20th place. They're followed by They're followed by Jason Henrique, I Am Keeman, and Luke Groom at the end of the grid.
Okay, we start to have a few drivers here in the interview waiting area. I guess we can start with Robert Tarleton, which has just joined us. What a race! You have provided us with one of the most beautiful finish in the last few months. Definitely an historical moment for you beating Team Delisle, you know?
Yeah, it was really great to finally get a good race against him where I didn't mess it up. But yeah, this track the draft is really strong, so it's just a lot of strategy really. And Tim actually took a different strategy than I was expecting. I expected him to use a little bit of DRS at the beginning, and so my strategy was just save one more DRS than he had, so I can just make the pass. But he actually ended up having more pace than I expected. So he forced me to use the same amount of DRS as he did, and we kind of went through the race and ended up where we just both had one left. And I knew if I waited till the last lap, he was going to use it, so I just had to try to make the pass without the DRS. And I gave myself 2 laps of margin, so I did it with 3 laps to go, and surprisingly made the pass the first try. So at that point, I just tried to keep him behind me without using DRS, and then the last lap, I just figured that at that point I had it just because DRS, the cars were going to top out and all that. But he actually came up side by side, which I wasn't expecting. That's why I was on the inside line, but fortunately I was able to hold it.
Yeah, we saw during the middle portion of the race you were playing a little bit of mind games, let's say, not passing team, so we understood that you wanted to stay in the draft and then play it out in the last 4 or 5 laps, as you were saying. So that was definitely a very good strategy, and congratulations, because this race will definitely be reminded also in the next few seasons, because you have provided us with a great battle.
Thanks guys. Yeah, I was more worried that if we started battling, Greg was going to catch up, and then that would kind of ruin my chances. So yeah, I just tucked in behind him. But yeah, thanks guys.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Robert?
Yeah, definitely you guys for the great broadcast. I also want to thank Tim, of course, for just coming week after week, with a high level of competition. I mean, the fact that he does that week after week is actually what makes finally getting a win so special. I think if he was hot and cold, then maybe I get a win here and there, but he just comes every week. So definitely shout out to him for that. And yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Robert. Hope to see you next week here in the booth. And who knows, maybe you can get another win on home side.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, next week is at Sebring International Raceway, and I have Tim Dalal standing by with us. Tim, it was all in your favor heading into the last lap, but to get into that issue, you had one small mistake. Can you walk us through that mistake that allowed Charlton to catch back up to you?
Which mistake was that?
The first one. Then the two.
I can only really...
Maybe there were a few laps where you lost a few tenths. Maybe it was DRS related or anything, and you were a little bit ahead of Robert, and then you lost a few tenths and allowed you then to catch up. I don't know if you made a mistake or...
No, that...
pace.
No, that was 100% DRS.
Wow.
It is so powerful here. You use it out of turn 1, and all the way to the carousel, you gain somewhere around 0.6 of a second. So I knew how powerful. I mean, the draft is roughly the same effect as well. So I knew how powerful the draft was here, and I knew Robert would be as fast as me. So my goal at the start was just to break the gap at all costs, and so I just used all but one DRS early on in the race, and then Robert, I think, had a couple to spare. So once I had the gap out to like 2 seconds or whatever it was, yeah, he just used it 2 laps in a row and got back in the slipstream. Like, I didn't make any real mistakes or anything. It's just that powerful.
Let's just talk about that last lap and, well, the laps leading up to the last lap. You were side by side with Robert, and it was just absolutely fantastic battle between you two. What was going through your mind during that?
First goal was to not crash. You know, knowing that I'm in Australia, he's in America, there's potential netcode there. I was actually really surprised how close our cars got a couple of times without having any contact. And yeah, my goal was I had 1 DRS left for the last lap. And my strategy, I guess, throughout, like once Robert got back in my slipstream, don't know if you guys know, but the middle of the back straight is slightly raised, so your car bottom's out there. So basically, to overtake someone, you have to either go to the far inside or far outside. You cannot overtake in the middle unless you have like a massive speed advantage going into it, because yeah, you just lose speed on that part of the track. So if he was closer than about half a second out of turn 1, I'd take the inside. If I had a little bit more of a buffer, I'd take the outside. And I think he was maybe lulling me into a false sense of security, because I'm sure he was like lifting at the end of the straight quite a few times, because there was obviously not enough overlap to pass me into the carousel. And so I think I had a little bit, or I thought I had a bit more of a buffer than I really did when he got me with a couple of laps to go, whatever it was. But then he made a mistake out of whatever that weird left-hander is towards the end of the lap, and I got back in it. We went side by side through turn 1, and it was awesome racing. And then, yeah, he'd shown that you can pass around the outside of the carousel, so I tried the same thing on the last lap. Didn't quite hold on, but then it left me with a chance to do a late dive into the next corner. But when I did, I saw him closing the door, and I guess you could call it a mistake on my part because I did lock up, but really with the gap that narrow, I was just trying to avoid contact because I didn't know there probably was just enough room, but I just backed out of it because it was too close to call, and I'd much rather come second and, you know, admit Robert did a better job than me today than to take us both out. So that's how it ended up, and yeah, full credit to Robert. Like, he was amazing today.
It certainly was an amazing race. Tim, thank you for your time. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, Positive Sim Racing, whole team. doing some good racing this week in the E Series as well. And just Robert, you know, amazing race. I think even though like we both won a few races this season now, I think that was the first time we've actually been able to battle on track. So that was really nice to do. Not the result I was hoping for, obviously, but yeah, like I loved it and I'm looking forward to more of it in the future. So yeah, congrats to him for the win. Congrats to Paul on the podium. You guys for the coverage. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Tim Dela. We have Alessandro Dalladone standing by with Paul Ilbrink.
Yeah, a quick chat with Paul. Good race, but definitely you missed a bit of speed in qualifying. The two up front were too fast and pulled a big gap at the start of the race, which you couldn't close down for the remainder of the race. Talk us through your start, Paul.
I lacked like huge speed in qualifying because I was a whole like 1/10 of the pole, I think. But yeah,
Very tight.
yeah, I don't know. The two cars in front started battling a bit, which like created a gap, etc. So I think it was a race between Tim and Robert anyway from that point, and I was just like following. Managed to avoid Greg when he spun in turn 1, and then I was sitting behind Christoph, just waiting for an opportunity really, and I got running a draft on him once into the carousel. I managed to pass him on the outside and into the next corner, and then I think he made some kind of mistake, and from that point I just opened DRS every lap to just get as far away as possible, and I was like kind of worried that all the cars behind being so close, they could work together and try and catch me again. But luckily the gap was like big enough and good enough for a podium in the end. So that was quite convenient for me.
Yeah, definitely. The fight behind you helped you a lot to pull away and consolidate your third place. You were definitely hoping for a bit more of a scrap up front to help you close down the margin, but unfortunately they were pretty clean at front, and the race played out very well for both of them. What do you think about Sebring next week? A completely different track. It's I guess a night down for setup for Sebring.
Oh, for sure. Like it's a fun track. I always like driving like tracks that are a little bit different. You can always go to the like same standard F1 tracks, but it's good to have a couple tracks every season to spice things up. So should be an interesting race. I hope that everybody shows up as well, not skip them as a drop week or something. So hopefully we can have a nice fight there again as well. So looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed we are too. And before we let you go, anyone you would like to thank?
I want to thank all my teammates at Radicals Online and our partners and sponsors: Armor Centrum, Cranfield Simulation, Track Racer, Joe Real Timing, Turn Racing, MOATF Podcast, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust.
Well, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, and thank you guys for doing a nice broadcast.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good night. Well, Austin, this is day over for us here at Epic Racing TV and from Watkins, Glen.
It certainly is the end of our day here today. What a race we witnessed. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Apex Racing TV for a wonderful, wonderful race. Sebring is up next week. And I've been joined by Alessandro Dalladone. Mark Barbanera is in the production booth, who just now realized we were cutting out. And I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night.